Shubi Balogun of Lagos, Nigeria. Nicholas Blaisdell of Peabody, Mass. Stephanie Castro of Plainfield. Jessica Furtado of Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Charlotte LaPlante of Brookline. Zhen Liu of Nanchang, China. Caroline Quinn of Winchester. And we just heard from Tenzin Thargai from West Roxbury. And Hadayi Williams of Manfield. As undergraduates here at UMass Amherst, each one of these students has demonstrated exemplary standards of achievement, initiative, and social awareness. In addition, they have demonstrated notable degrees of integrity, discipline, courage, compassion, and good humor. These scholars stand before us today representative of the qualities that characterize the members of this exemplary class of 2018. And the vast array of opportunities available to us all, the students of the University of Massachusetts Amherst. On behalf of the Alumni Association, we salute the leaders of the 21st century. Congratulations.
I now welcome Provost John McCarthy to present the 2018 Jack Welch Scholars.
In 2003, the GE Foundation established a scholarship program in honor of UMass Amherst alumnus Jack Welch, class of 1957. Today, 2 seniors represent the class of 2018 graduating Jack Welch scholars. These students are chosen for their academic accomplishments, social responsibility, and leadership potential as demonstrated throughout their high school careers. Surely not. Who wrote this? As demonstrated throughout their careers here at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. I ask them to step to the front of the stage now. Enda O'Shea of West Newton. Lena Wu of Burlington. Congratulations to the 2018 Jack Welch Scholars. You can return to your seat. This year, a new award was created to recognize graduating seniors at the University of Massachusetts Amherst who have made significant impact on the institution while enriching the experience of their fellow students. Award recipients exhibit extraordinary commitment to service and citizenship as undergraduate students beyond the scope of their normal academic and extracurricular commitments, and they serve as role models for future generations of UMass Amherst students. Our inaugural recipient of the Chancellor's Award for Exceptional Service is Antonio D. Vitale. Mr. Vitale, please come forward. Congratulations.
year, the University of Massachusetts Amherst recognizes preeminent alumni and friends of the campus with the Distinguished Achievement Award. This prestigious award recognizes professional achievements and outstanding contributions to society. Provost McCarthy will present the candidate.
Chancellor Sivaswamy, I have the honor to present to you for the 2018 University of Massachusetts Amherst Distinguished Achievement Award, Dr. Catherine Coiner. Dr. Coiner. Dr. Coiner, your success in breaking barriers for women in medicine as one of the few female orthopedic surgeons in the country, I believe you told me it was 7.5%. And your dedication to helping to guide the next generation of women to successful careers in medicine are among the many reasons we are proud of your achievements. Your accomplishments go beyond medical offices and surgical suites and include your dedication to mentoring women who want to succeed in non-traditional opportunities. Your story is a powerful motivator for women who aspire to reach great heights. Catherine Coiner, University of Massachusetts, is proud and honored to present you with this Distinguished Achievement Award.
Our university bestows honorary degrees upon select individuals whose accomplishments clearly represent the values this institution holds dear. President Meehan, I now have the honor to present to you for the degree of Doctor of Public Service, honoris causa, Leonard Foster Gardner. Mr. Gardner, you are a worthy representative of a much-honored generation. After meeting the challenges of childhood during the rigors of the Great Depression, you survived the attack on Pearl Harbor as a crew member of the USS Reed. You served this country nobly and bravely in the U.S. Navy during World War II. You survived frequent combat engagements during the tenure that spanned every day of our involvement in that conflict. Back in civilian time, you, like so many other veterans, took advantage of the GI Bill and graduated from UMass Amherst with a degree in history. You then served your nation meaningfully in the positions in government agencies, the National Science Foundation, and in your community through your long and passionate involvement in local government. President Meehan, I now present Leonard Foster Gardner.
Leonard Foster Gardner, by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of the University of Massachusetts, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Public Service, honoris causa. In accordance with the usual custom, you are entitled to all the rights and privileges which pertain to this degree, here and elsewhere. In token whereof, we award you this diploma and invest you with a hood of Doctor of Public Service as a visible symbol of our high regard for you. Congratulations.
President Meehan, I now have the honor to present to you for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, Jake Capper. As an award-winning journalist, displayed courage in telling stories from war-torn Afghanistan and Iraq to the plight of New Orleans when Hurricane Katrina destroyed the levee system, from politics to policy, from Washington, D.C. to breaking news around the world. You bring insight into international events, political and economic developments, and popular culture. It is no wonder that you have received some of the most coveted awards in journalism, including the Walter Cronkite Award for Excellence in Television Political Journalism, the Los Angeles Press Club's President's Award for Impact on Media, and the Journalism Foundation's Tribute to Exemplary Journalism. In addition, you are a 4-time recipient of the Merriman Smith Award for Presidential Coverage from the White House Correspondents Association. President Meehan, I now present Jake Tapper.
Jake Tapper, by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of the University of Massachusetts, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa. In accordance with the usual custom, you are entitled to all the rights and privileges which pertain to this degree here and elsewhere. In token whereof, we award you this diploma and invest you with the hood of Doctor of Humane Letters as a visible symbol of our high regard for you. Congratulations.
So then you can go back.
Very good looking crowd. Chancellor Subbaswamy, trustees, guy with the horn, girl with the horn, sorry, professors, alumni, Leonard Gardner, everybody. Guy with the kooky hat in the second row. Nice work. Families of the graduates, and most importantly, members of the class of 2018. So congratulations, you made it. Oh wait, hey, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to your parents. I'd like to take a minute to give it up to your parents for their blood, sweat, and tears, their financial contributions, and most importantly, for not driving here every weekend under the guise of offering to do your laundry. All right, now to you guys. Congratulations. Welcome to the real world. And thank you for this remarkable honor. As a Philadelphian who worshipped UMass basketball star turned Philadelphia 76er Julius, you're booing Julius Erving? I don't think you're booing Julius Erving. It's great to be near the cage where Dr. J once played, and out of respect for you all, that's the only sports reference I'm going to make today. Commencement addresses are tricky tasks. I want to make sure I choose my words carefully. I want to encourage you, as Henry David Thoreau once wrote, to suck all the marrow out of life, but I am also mindful that marrow sucking in some controlled experiments has proven toxic. I want you, as the country song instructs, I want you to dance like nobody's watching. But if you're drunk, and you're embarrassing yourself, and somebody has a cell phone, that could be a problem. So there's a balance here I want to strike. I look at you and I think back to my graduation. If memory serves, and to be quite honest, my memory frequently double faults. But if memory serves, the big question for you is, where are you going to? And I don't mean to McMurphy's or Stackers. I'm speaking more broadly than that. You have no doubt been asked a million times before today, and more of it's going to come this summer. What's next? What path are you going to take? Robert Frost once wrote, 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by That has made all the difference. I dare say you've heard that poem before. For decades, this quote has been cited in commencement addresses and in yearbook quotes as a testament to individuality, to the notion of marching to the beat of one's own drummer. The notion that Frost took the road less traveled by is an homage to doing what you think is right even if you are alone. But there's a problem. That's not what the poem is about. If you actually read the poem, and it's only 20 lines long, Frost makes it clear that both roads, quote, equally lay in Leeds, and that, quote, the passing there had warned them really about the same. In other words, the road that Frost took was not actually the road not taken. It had been taken just as much as the other one he didn't take. As the poetry columnist for the New York Times, David Orr, writes in his book, The Road Not Taken, Finding America in the Poem Everyone Loves and Almost Everyone Gets Wrong, quote, the poem isn't a salute to can-do individualism. It's a commentary on the self-deception we practice when constructing the story of our own lives. The poet says, after all, quote, I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence, unquote, before talking about his past choice. Now, I tell you this not to make you cringe about your high school yearbook quote selection, or to embarrass your past teachers or professors who embrace the more popular interpretation of the poem, nor because it annoys me to no end to hear Monster.com, Ford Motor Company, Nicorette, and Mentos co-opt this poem and push its misinterpretation to make you think that having a Mentos is the act of a rebel. Though I do appreciate a minty breath. I bring this up because it's worth asking, why does this entire country misinterpret this amazing poem? And I think it's because we prefer The Road Not Taken to be about individuality. We want it to be true. Therefore, we ignore the lines and stanzas and interpretations that contradict that. It's what psychologists and political scientists refer to as confirmation bias. We all fall victim to believing what we want to believe and ignoring the evidence. But the truth is seldom as stark as we want it to be. At this time, when this country has groups of people, tribes of people, siloing themselves off, and only listening to the politicians or the news media, and in some cases, the members of their family or their friends with whom they agree, I urge you to resist the temptation to subject yourself only to that which reaffirms what you already think. American society today, and yes, politicians, and yes, the media, are pushing the exact opposite message. People decide about an article's validity based only on its headline or the language in the tweet linking to it. They judge books by their covers. Some seek out vitriol, online or on air, as if it were mother's milk. Social media is like the movie The Oxbow Incident, with lynch mobs running toward this person on Twitter or that person on Facebook to destroy him or her for the outrage du jour. Not just to criticize him or her, but to obliterate them. As President George W. Bush said in 2017, quote, too often we judge other groups by their worst examples while judging ourselves by our best intentions. I urge you to resist joining these mindless hordes. Use the critical thinking skills you just spent 4 years developing. I urge you to read the story. I urge you to think for yourself. I urge you to click the link. Members of the class of 2018, read the poem for yourself. Now, my personal theory as to why Frost's poem is so popular, especially at times like these, and seriously, I do apologize if I ruined your high school year, is because a walk in the wood with a choice of roads is such an apt metaphor. You are about to face so many choices, more than one. They're going to be momentous ones. What will you do for a living? Where will you live? Whom will you marry? Will you marry? Will you have children? And there are going to be a million tiny ones. Right now, if memory serves, in addition to being excited, perhaps a little hungover, perhaps a little buzzed, you might be feeling a little anxious. And I get it. I remember it. You're leaving this cozy womb. And like the newborn, when you leave, the air is going to feel a little bit cold at first. That umbilical cord of food delivered right into your belly is about to be snipped. Someone you don't know might give you a slap. That's okay. It's normal. I don't know why people don't share this information with more college graduates, but these next few years can be a little bit tricky. I want you to know that going into them. No one warned me of this. Don't be scared, but know that you won't be alone if you stumble onto a moment or two, or 2,000, when you wonder just what the heck you're going to do for the rest of your life, and whether it's all going to be less fun than the 4 years you just spent at this amazing university. I guarantee you that your most celebrated alumni felt this way at one point or another. Jack Smith, Madeline Kunin, Jack Welch, Natalie Cole, Bill Pullman, Buffy St. Marie, Paul Thoreau, Richard Gere. It's possible Dr. J never felt this way because he's a superhero, but the rest of us mortals have. And I'm here to warn you that those fears might be coming, and it's all going to be okay. Swami just said a lot of nice things about me. Let me tell you what he didn't tell you. He didn't tell you that after I graduated from Dartmouth, I went to film school, where I was so bored and so intellectually starving, I would literally sit in class listening to Senate confirmation hearings of a Supreme Court justice on my Walkman. You know what a Walkman is? It was like an iPod or an iPhone, but it was like the size and weight of a brick, and it only had 8 songs, and it was yellow. Anyway, so I was so miserable at film school. I would think of days as something that I had to get through. There would be mornings that I would wake up and I would be disappointed that I was awake. Fast forward 3 years, I left one job where I was unhappy to a different job where I was even less happy. I would nap under my desk. This is before George Costanza did it on Seinfeld. I would take long coffee breaks, so long that really it was like a day of coffee break with sporadic work breaks. My point is, I didn't just saunter from that chair to this honorary degree and the privilege of delivering this address. I had a lot of wrong turns, a lot of roads that should have gone untaken. Roads that I walked down and years later wondered how the hell I ended up where I was, and then I had to figure out how to find another road and go somewhere else and where to go. I want you to remember this if you remember nothing else from these remarks. There are going to be tough moments on this journey. Most of the rest of your life should be great, but there are going to be wrong turns and there are going to be stumbles. You're going to get lost a few times. You might arrive at a destination and realize, boy, you don't want to be there. And it's all going to be okay. I'm making the real world sound frightening now, and I don't want to do that because I truly don't. It's a wonderful place. There's an open bar. There's a decent cover band. You get to pick out who you hang out with, and you can try to be whoever it is you want to be, regardless of who you were here, and regardless of who you were in high school. It might take you a few years to figure it out. That's okay too. That's something else no one told me. I didn't become a full-time journalist until I was almost 30. I didn't know what I wanted to do. After film school, I dropped out. I worked on a campaign. I had a whole bunch of odd jobs throughout Washington. I didn't like any of them. I wasn't good at any of them. It's okay to see these next few years, this next decade, as a way to figure out what it is you want to do. You don't have to know today. None of these experiences were a waste of my time. They were my path. They taught me things about myself and about the world. I was in DC and I was learning about DC, seeing it from different vantage points. Now look, obviously you're going to have to make a living. And whether that's waiting tables or serving as a paralegal, those choices are yours. You're about to become a freshman at the University of Life, which means you're back to the bottom. And you might have to make copies and you might have to answer phones. And you might feel like you're above that work, but you're not. Let me tell you why. Because those are chances for you to develop something that's not easy to develop, and that's a positive work ethic and attitude. And the quicker you develop that, the quicker that they would say you don't have to answer phones anymore. stuff, of course, is the question of where you want to be when you're 30 or 40 or 50. And all I can say about that is try to figure out what it is you actually love doing. And if and when you figure it out, take risks to make it happen. You have your 30s and 40s to make compromises. Spend your 20s finding what you love. I don't care if it's acting or carving chairs, fixing cars, tending to the sick, creating a business, raising children, whacking weeds, standing post in Afghanistan. Find something you love, and your career will grow from there. Your community of friends and colleagues will grow from there. What you want to be and who you want to be will come into focus. Someone once told me, buy a good mattress. You're going to spend a third of your life on it. It might as well be good. And it's smart advice, but that's not the point. The point I'm trying to make is more people seem to understand the argument about the mattress than they do about finding a job that they love, where you will spend most of your waking hours. And I say this as someone who loves what he does for a living. And I've been to every one of my college reunions. And let me tell you what I've learned from my own experiences and those from my classmates. Do not give up on your dreams too soon. Do not think that just because you don't get the job that you dream about in the first year or the second year or the fifth year that you should give up. Don't. Have faith. Everything in this world comes from effort. Everything. But here's another truth from your humble veteran of class reunions. Don't end up being so focused on what you want to be that you avoid working on who you want to be. The job's one thing. You're going to have lots of jobs. At 50, you can change your career. It happens. But who you are, that's not as easy to leave behind. Frank Sinatra once sang, regrets I have a few, but then again too few to mention. With apology to Mr. Sinatra, that is crap. I will be 50 next year. I have a load of regrets. I'm going to mention a few of them. They mainly fall into two categories. Times I was too chicken to take a risk, and times I was not considerate enough of people's feelings. Of the risks, I've already spoken. And in terms of more personal risks, suffice it to say that I still regret not backpacking through Europe with one of my best friends before my overseas program began in 1988. Yes, 30 years ago. I still remember it. I still regret it. You will regret things 30 years later when you don't do it because you're chicken. You will remember the DMs that you did not carpe. As for being kind to people, allow me to observe that when you're younger, maybe even your age, being callous or being mean can sometimes seem like a way to project confidence. But what it really does is convey to people who know better the exact opposite. The shock of cruelty can be amusing when you're in your teens or your 20s. You get older and you realize that the hard-hearted are compensating for an emptiness. Choose not to take that path. I realize that the nation right now is not exactly getting a crash course in exemplary behavior. I realize that we're in a time when nastiness and mockery and meanness sometimes seem as if they're spreading like a contagion. But when the indecent becomes commonplace is not the time for good people like you to follow suit. Because you know what? Mean is easy. Mean is lazy. Mean is self-satisfied and slothful. You know what takes effort? Being kind, being patient, being respectful, telling someone how you feel politely instead of just avoiding them for 6 weeks. That's the stuff of adulthood. And truly of adventure, because when you rise to the moment to embrace the humanity of everyone, you give yourself a chance to grow and achieve a strength of character. We are today, having nothing to do with policy debates on immigration or trade or North Korea, we are today seeing a degradation of discourse and behavior that is upsetting. When my little girl, at the time 8 years old, saw a video of a certain presidential candidate mocking someone's disability, She came to me weeping. Why would someone do that, Dad? People with special needs deserve to be treated with respect, my 8-year-old said. We're in a time now where we cannot look to Washington to exemplify the standards of behavior we want to teach our children. In fact, quite the opposite. I recently wrote a book about the 1950s in which the pathology of McCarthyism figured heavily. I studied the 50s a great deal. There were heroes during that time. People like Senator Margaret Chase Smith, Republican of Maine, who stood on the Senate in 1950 and decried how the Senate floor had become, quote, debased to a forum of hate and character assassination. Freedom of speech, she said, is not what it used to be in America. It has been so abused by some that it is not exercised by others. In other words, the attacks were so mean-spirited, good men and good women were scared silent. Senator Margaret Chase Smith is recognized today as a hero for taking that stance, and she took it in 1950, a full 4 years before legendary newsman Edward R. Murrow famously eviscerated McCarthy on television, and 4 years before the Senate censured Joe McCarthy. You know who isn't remembered as a hero of that time? Almost every other politician in Washington. The Senate Majority Leader at the time was a guy named Robert Taft of Ohio. He ran for president in 1952. He lost the nomination to Eisenhower. I'm certain that Taft thought he would get another opportunity to run for president, that his legacy would be that he would be a stalwart for important conservative principles. But as Senate Majority Leader, he took not much of a stance against McCarthy. He tried to straddle the worlds of decent and indecent. Robert Taft died suddenly in 1953, and his legacy today is he didn't stand up for what was right when the country desperately needed him to do so. It's a lyric in Hamilton, and it's true. We have no control who tells our story. We can think that our legacy will be our achievements, but often what we hand down to our children is the moral example that we set, or the moral example that we fail to set. Members of the class of 2018, other generations are failing to set this moral standard for you. So you must set it for yourselves, and you must set it for each other. You will now play a pivotal role in how this story unfolds. Your generation can go down in history as the ones who actually asked more of yourselves and your leaders. Other generations have said they were going to do that, and they didn't. You can do it. When I was in those seats, it was 1991. We were Generation X. We were skeptical, if not cynical, about the world. We saw hippies turn into yuppies. We saw the Beatles' Revolution No. 9 played on a Nike commercial. But we also saw Martin Luther King Jr. be honored with a federal holiday for the first time. We saw Reagan and Gorbachev come to an agreement on limiting nuclear weapons. We watched the USSR collapse and the Berlin Wall crumble. Perhaps we in Generation X took for granted that freedom of speech and democracy and basic human decency would endure and indeed improve. We're in a different world now. A world of social media where every bad impulse, every negative, nasty thought, every shallow, glib cutdown can be shared the very moment it's conceived. We're in a moment where humanity and decency are being eroded, where basic systems of law and justice are under attack, where the very notion of empirical fact is being attacked and corroded. People are standing up and saying no to these indecencies, but not enough people, and not enough of people in power. It will have to be your generation that leads this nation out of this darkness. And when you do that, I want you to think about this. In October 2009, I was a White House correspondent. My career was good, my family was healthy, everything was great in the world. In a striking moment, in October 2009, I was holding my newborn son, and I learned of 8 other sons, American soldiers, all about your age, who had suddenly been taken from this earth in Afghanistan. It was poignant. And I sat there in that hospital recovery room with my wife and my son watching the TV and thinking about the battle at Combat Outpost Keating. Who were these men and the families that loved them? Who were these people that sacrificed so much for a country that wasn't paying much attention to them? For a war to which most Americans didn't even bother watching on TV or reading in the paper. I spent the next few weeks and months trying to find out more about the battle of Combat Outpost Keating. Why would anyone put an outpost in such a vulnerable position? Why was it there? What was its purpose? And most importantly, who were these men? Who would volunteer for this? I was reporting on the debates over troop levels from the North Lawn of the White House, using numbers like 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, like they were statistics from a stock ticker. But these were people.
I have the great honor to present the candidates who have satisfied requirements.
Hi, I'm Julie Hayes, I'm Dean of the College of Humanities and Fine Arts, and it is my very great pleasure to welcome you here to the HFA Senior Recognition Ceremony, and congratulations to the class of 2018. Who worked very hard to make today's ceremony happen. Certainly our audiovisual team from Access Audiovisual Systems, our student assistants, and the HFA staff who helped make today possible, especially the indefatigable and completely unsinkable Lynn Latham. If I did not recognize the folks who offer guidance to our students during their entire time here, the people from our wonderful HFA Advising and Career Center, our Associate Dean of Advising, Nikki Stoya, and Assistant Deans Sandy Perello, Nancy Noble, and Patricia Gumitosi. Thank you. In addition to achieving excellence in these departments, many of you have gone beyond the boundaries of a particular discipline. And education in the humanities or the arts is by its nature interdisciplinary. It's about understanding different ways of thinking, seeing, perceiving the world, and using those viewpoints to inform new ideas.
Veterinary and animal science.
I am Rafael Fisore, head of the Department of Veterinary Animal Sciences, and it is my pleasure to present medals along with Janice Stoppers to the graduate of the Veterinary Animal Science Department. Our student speaker is Rachel Miller.
Rachel Nora Miller. Andrea Vasquez. Carly Ray Mangle. Kia Shante Davis. Abby Marie Kingston.
Psychological Brain Sciences. Our student speaker is Shirley Krasinski. Congratulations to the 2018 psychology graduates. We did it. Thank you to all of the family and friends of these graduates who we've been secretly observing and diagnosing throughout these past 4 years. In your years here, hopefully you've learned there's more to psychology than an old man in an armchair asking, so how does that make you feel? And always blaming everything on your mother. Psychology is instead a broad field, encompassing everything from neuroscience to child psychology to social work. But what we do have in common as well is walking through the dimly lit halls of Tobin, struggling our way through statistics with R, and our shared passion for understanding the minds of our fellow human beings. No matter how you got here or how long it's taken, I am so proud to be your peer and future colleague. Congratulations. Thank you, Shirley. And now, the graduates of the Department of Psychological and Brain Sciences.
Shirley Buzinski.
Michael Seifu May.
Crystal Ledger.
Mahati Nakea.
Catherine D'Souza.
Hadia Williams.
Miranda Bollinger.
Wei-Shun Castro.
Caitlin McMahon.
Emmanuel Afoso. Melissa Joseph.
Emily Murray.
Molly Donovan.
David Benford.
Ana Lucia Mendez.
James Levinson.
Daniela Elizabeth Lopez Martinez.
Lindsay Bowden.
Jillian Stewart.
Jamie Brusack.
Amanda Navasaliza.
Lindsay Nicole Jordan.
Here. You're welcome. There's a delay.
Jacket gördüm. Thank you.
ሚካኤልን አስመልክታችሁ ከኔና ከወይዘሮ ጋራ የደስታ ተካፋይ ስለሆናችሁ የሚካኤል ስም ባይኖርም በጣም ብዙ እናመሰግነው። የሀገር በዓለም ይመለስ እንዴት እንዳከበርናችሁ ይገባናል። እኛም ደግሞ የምናታችሁ ስለሆነ ያረጋችሁ በዓለም ይመልሰው። በጣም እግዚአብሔር
አሜን
እንዲሁ አይለየን። በሀገርም በውጭ ያገናኘን። ብዙ ንግግር የሚችል ሰው አይደለም። ብዛቱ ሳይሆን ከጥራቱ የምንጠጣውን ደግሞ ራሳችንን እንዳያመን
ለዛሬ ዶክተርነት ተሽሯል።
መጠጡ ወደ መድኃኒትነት ይቀያል።
ብዙ ምርቃት የምትችሉ ሰዎች ስለሆናችሁ
ጨምሩበት።
ከኔ ኋላ እኔ የዛሬ 4 ዓመት ወደዚህ ሲመጣ ፈቃደኛ ሰው አልነበረም። ግን 2-1 ስለተሸነፉ ተሸናፊ ሆኜ ነው ሚካኤልን ወደዚህ ሄዳ ከአጠገቤ እንዲርቅ ከአጠገቤ እንዲሄድ አልፈልግም ነበር። ግን ወርቋ ሚካኤል ስላሸነፈኝና ዛሬ ግን ሳየው ትክክል ነበሩ። የወሰኑት ነገር በጣም ትክክል ነው እና ባለቤቴንም ወይዘሮ ወርቋን በዚህ አጋጣሚ እንዳመሰግን ይፈቀድልኝ እና ቴንክ ዩ ቨሪ ማች። ቀሪውን የጎደለውን ወይዘሮ ወርቋ ትሞላለታለች። እንግዲህ እንደ ሰርጋችን ሮብና ልማስ እዚህ ላይ
ማርክሽ ካቃሲስ
You work in a restaurant?
አመሳገር
ላይቱ አያወጣም።
I have your reserve size. Very nice. Thank you.
በደንብ ክረችው።
እሺ
Right.
Yes.
You're the expert of that.
Maybe.
እዛው ላይ ተጻፈበት እሷ ጻፈችበት ታድነዋለች ግን ይሄው እንደዚህ
ሰላም ወርቋ ሰላም በይ።
That's fine. It's okay. They come. They come. They don't.
ብዙ ስላስጠበቅናችሁ በጣም ይቅርታ ጠይቃለሁ። ባለቤቴ በልጄ በሚካኤል ስም አክብራችሁን ስለመጣችሁ ዛሬ አክብርልን ባለም ይመለስ ለሀገሩ ደም ላረጋችሁት ሁሉ በባለቤቴ በሚካኤል በለኔ ስም በጣም አመሰግናለሁ እና መልካም ቆይታ። የተዘጋጀውን አብረን እንቋደስ ጠይቃለሁ። Thank you very much. ሚካኤልም የተሰጠን ኃላፊነት በአግባቡ ስለተወጣ Thank you very much.
እንግዲህ አማርኛዬ ደከም ስላለ እንግሊዘኛውን እየከተተ ማውራት ፈልጋለሁ። በመጀመሪያ ማለት የምፈልገው በጣም እድለኛ ናት። በጣም እንደዚህ ለእናንተ እናትና አባት በጣም እድለኛ ነኝ እና ከዚህ በላይ ምንም መጠየቃችን በሙሉ እየደረሰ በእናንተ ነው። የእናንተ ድካም የእናንተ ኃይል የእናንተ ላብ ያበቃል። የእናንተ ውጭ የሁላችሁ እነሱ ግን በዋኘት በጣም ስለሰራችሁ በጣም ሁለት እንግዲህ ማለት የምፈልገው አይ ነው ትልቅ እንትን ነበረ ሀገር ለውጭ መጥቼ እንትን ለማለት ሁላችንም አግሪ አላደረግንም በሱ ግን ያው እዚህ ለመድረሳችን እድለኝነት ነው ዋናው። በጣም አመሰግናለሁ።
እንኳን እግዚአብሔር በዚህ ያደረሰኝ ሁላችንም እንኳን አደረሰን። ልጃችን በጣም ፊቱ ቢሆን በጣም ጥሩ ልጅ እዚህ ጋር እንደሚደርስ አውቀው ነበር። ምክንያቱም ጸባዩ ሁሉም ነገር ከኛ ስር ነው ያለው። ሩቅም ቢሆን እንኳን የሚያደርገውን ነገር እያንዳንዷን ነገር ለእኛ እየነገረን ነው የሚያደርገው እና የራሱ አንድ ጥሩ የእግዚአብሔር ስጦታ ነው። አሁንም እንግዲህ እዚህ ላይ ቆም እንዲቀጥል ምኞቴ ነው እና ሁላችሁም ጊዜያችሁን ገንዘባችሁን ሁሉንም ነገር አውጥታችሁ የኛ ደስታ ተካፋይ ስለሆናችሁ በጣም አመሰግናለሁ።
አንድ ነገር መጨመር እፈልጋለሁ። እንግዲህ ዛሬ ካወቃችሁ የስማዘርስ ዴይ እና በጣም 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 ያንቺ ቀን
ሀገር
እንብላ በዚህ ተነስታችሁ
Yes.